Last night, Israel unleashed over 200 F-35 Iyadir jets deep into Iranian airspace, striking nuclear centrifuge halls at Natanz, missile silos in Kermanshah, and radar sites near Tehran. Is this preemptive defense or an act of war? On June 13th, Israeli PM announced a last resort plan to halt Iran's nuclear breakout. The following night, over 100 military installations were hit, marking the most aggressive Israeli aerial operation since 1979. Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei vowed severe retaliation, but Iran's first missile volleys were limited, perhaps reflecting degraded air defense capabilities. This Israeli air strike caused huge losses to Iran. Natanz enrichment facility, underground halls housing thousands of centrifuges. You heard that right, thousands destroyed, setting back Iran's uranium enrichment by months or years. Mehrabad Air Base, hangars and police headquarters razed. Residents report earth-shaking blasts in southwest Tehran, with plumes of smoke reaching the skyline. Regional strike. Smaller sites hit in Isfahan, Kermanshah, and Tabriz, further degrading Iran's missile launch capability. Iran's Ministry of Health reported 240 killed, including 70 women and children. Over 1,200 injured, entire neighborhoods plunged into darkness by a near-total internet blackout, likely due to cyber attacks from either side. Panic on Tehran's highways. Millions jammed roads trying to flee the city, reminiscent of wartime evacuations in 1980s conflicts. From a tactical and technical perspective, Israel's F-35 Iyadir fighter is equipped with conformal fuel tanks and can fly 2,200 kilometers round-trip without the support of a tanker. This is enough for it to be launched from an Israeli base deep into the heart of Iran and return without being detected by radar. Yet Israel boasts of surgical precision, killing dozens of civilians. How can a surgical strike destroy an entire family? Even if the direct intention is to minimize collateral damage, this is not the case. Iran's S-300 and Bava R-373 systems failed to intercept many missiles, raising questions about maintenance and electronic vulnerability. Some analysts point to prior sabotage by Mossad as a factor. From the perspective of geopolitical interests, does Israel's proactive attack occupy the moral high ground, or is it just a hypocritical performance by some politicians? Prime Minister Bennett claims Israel acts to prevent nuclear catastrophe, but the same government opposes the 2015 nuclear accord that would have placed strict inspections on Natanz. Now Israel demands no deal even as it bombs the facilities. Yes, Iran has taken some provocative actions before. Iran's Revolutionary Guard has funded militias throughout Iraq, Syria, and Yemen, shelling civilians and destabilizing neighboring countries. But is that enough to justify preemptive bombing of a sovereign nation in its heart? The United States, as the world's superpower, has an erratic stance. President Trump once called for Iran's unconditional surrender, but when asked whether the U.S. military would participate in the airstrike, he changed his position, claiming that no decision has been made, and deployed an aircraft carrier to the Gulf. Congressional leaders from both parties warned against unauthorized military action, highlighting the conflict between executive ambitions and legislative oversight. Internationally, the European Union condemned both sides and urged immediate de-escalation, while quietly preparing to ban Russian and Iranian oil supplies next quarter. Brussels fears a wider war could trigger another energy crisis. Moscow labeled the strike's unacceptable aggression, recalling Israel's 1981 bombing of Iraq's Airstrike reactor. Beijing called for restraint but offered no concrete mediation role. Wary of upsetting Tehran, Gulf states scrambled to evacuate diplomats. Saudi Arabia and the way issued lukewarm statements, reflecting their uneasy ties with both Washington and Tehran. The streets of Tehran are filled with collapsed buildings, families hugging in the rubble, and volunteers cleaning up the rubble. We thought the war was thousands of miles away until the sirens rang through the streets, said resident Leela. This is not abstract geopolitics, but mothers burying their children, civilian suffering. Should never be an acceptable price for political brinkmanship. It is time for righteous people, especially the leaders of the world's powerful nations, to actively call for immediate diplomatic action to resolve the conflict between the two sides, restart the 2015 Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action and strengthen inspections, allowing inspectors unrestricted access to Natanz and Fordo. Encourage a Middle East security framework, bringing Israel, Iran, Gulf states, and international guarantors on US, EU to the table, demand parliamentary votes on any further military action, support NGOs documenting war crimes, push for resolutions that reinforce both Iran's right to civilian nuclear energy and Israel's right to security, while unequivocally protecting civilians. We cannot watch in silence as civilians pay the price. Stand for transparent diplomacy. Stand for human life. Israel's bombing of Iran marks a dangerous escalation, one that risks pulling the entire world into open conflict. If you believe in justice over brute force, hit like, share, and subscribe. Together we can amplify the call for peace before it's too late.